Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a top 10 countdown for Heel Heat. Now the countdown this time is Ring of Honor. As you can see proudly displayed on my chest, let's go right into the countdown. Now this is for the history of Ring of Honor, which is an ongoing history, but up to this point we'll give you the top 10. Our number 10 guy is Davey Richards, one half of the American Wolves. Very successful solo career, former world champion, former tag team champion, a guy that the company really got behind, especially when Jim Cornette was booking. He made Davey kind of the face of the company. Amazing technical wrestler, a guy you could put in your main event and bank that he's going to give you a good match every night. Someone that the fans really got behind, that the bookers got behind. Guy that worked his way up from the No Remorse Corps to the American Wolves, all the way up to the World Championship. Hell of a talent, hell of a wrestler, our number 10 guy. And with someone that talented, it just goes to show that the rest of this list is going to be uber talented as well. Speaking of that, our number 9 guy, A-Double Austin Aries, the greatest man that's ever lived. Now, Austin had 2 shorter stints with the company, about a year and a half, 2 years each. And in both stints, he was able to win the World Heavyweight Championship. The only wrestler to win 2 Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championships, which I think is pretty damn impressive, especially for a guy that hasn't spent the time on the roster that some of the other guys we're going to talk about, a guy like Davey has. But still a very awesome wrestler, a guy that, much like Davey Richards, could go with just about anybody in the business. Brought a little something different to the Ring of Honor style, originally with Generation Next, and on his own as well as the little group he had with Rhett Titus and Kenny King as well. A little bit of a cockiness he brought in the Ring of Honor, kind of a more old school heel, and an amazing wrestler, whether he was someone that was a face, a heel, whether it was in his fight against the Age of the Fall, his matches with Tyler Black, his matches with Davey Richards, Samoa Joe, CM Punk. I mean, everybody on the roster, everybody that's anybody in professional wrestling right now has had awesome matches with Austin Aries. Speaking of guys that had matches that were awesome with Austin Aries, Tyler Black, a guy that most of you know now is Seth Rollins. Before he was Seth Rollins and tearing through the WWE as part of the Shield, he was Tyler Black, one of the most promising upcoming talents in Ring of Honor history. Came in as part of the aforementioned Age of the Fall, kind of a second in command to Jimmy Jacobs. Right from the start, it was evident that he was a superstar in the making. He was a guy that they put the tag title on real quick, a guy that had awesome wrestling matches with everybody, again, just like anybody else. His matches with Bryan Danielson at the time were off the charts, amazing. Him and Jimmy Jacobs had awesome matches with the Briscoe brothers. They had I believe that he had a really great match with Kevin Steen and El Generico. Tyler Black was someone the fans, again, really got behind, and it almost, by the time they gave him the World Championship, it was almost they got burnt out because they waited so long to do it. But nonetheless, he was still one of the best talents on Ring of Honor, and dare to say the old Ring of Honor HD Net show, which I don't know how many of you guys got to watch. It didn't go out to much of America. I think only 30% of the country got it. I was lucky enough that I did. But you can pick up the best of Ring of Honor on HD Net on their website. I believe he was a star of that show. And definitely a guy that was easily one of the faces of the company during his time in Ring of Honor, and one of the guys that really kept the cog going when some other major guys were leaving the company. Now, our number 7 guy has been through Ring of Honor through a lot of changes. Has been there, I think, since 2005. 2006, somewhere in that time frame. Don't, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, might have been earlier. We're talking about Roderick Strong, a guy that's done it all. He's been a tag champion, he's been a TV champion, he's been the world champion. Highly underrated wrestler, a guy who absolutely is one of the most sound technical wrestlers in all of wrestling today. Very reminiscent of a guy like Dean Malenko. If you've never seen Roderick Strong's work, go out there and see some of it, because he's absolutely amazing. A guy that was part of Generation Next with Austin Aries, one of the big factions that came into Ring of Honor. Also part of the No Remorse Corps with Davey Richards. I mean, Roderick Strong, I mean, he's the guy kind of that's the glue of the company. I mean, he's the one that's been a constant and been there putting excellent matches on with everybody that's came in and out, whether it be Nigel McGuinness, whether it be Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Davey Richards, Kevin Steen, Michael Elgin, anybody and everybody that's been in Ring of Honor has wrestled Roderick Strong, and anybody that has will tell you that he's one of the greatest wrestlers in Ring of Honor history. Now, speaking of that, going to another guy that Roderick actually faced a few times. Our number 6 guy is Nigel McGuinness, aka Desmond Wolfe to some of you TNA fans of his. But Nigel was a guy, he was first a pure champion that became the Ring of Honor World Champion, and had a really dominant run as the champion, a real kind of he brought a real smash mouth flavor to the belt, to the championship, and wrestled through a bunch of injuries, and unfortunately his career was cut short by the injuries and different reasonings. A guy who now is the matchmaker for the company, and if you're getting into it now and you've never seen what Nigel could do, I mean, Nigel was absolutely amazing. Everything the guy could do was absolutely crisp. He could hit. He had thousands of ways to hit the lariat. He had neck breaker combinations. I mean, the guy is amazing in the ring. He's one of those wrestlers that's going to go down in the annals of history that could have been so much bigger, but injuries held him from reaching his greatness. I mean, Nigel, I believe he left during the HD Net show to go to TNA, and he left before they got the new show, the one on Sinclair Broadcasting. So he never really got the national exposure in Ring of Honor, a little bit on the HD Net show. He got national exposure in TNA, had some awesome matches there as well, but really one of the guys, one of the foundations, one of the blocks that Ring of Honor has been built on. Now our next guy, our number 5 guy, is one of the foundations that they're continuing to build on, and that's Kevin Steen. Whether he's a face, a heel, he's a guy that came into the company rather unassumingly, and I believe it was Do or Die number 4 from way back, I believe 2004, 2005. Don't quote me on the time frame. As you can see, I'm a little bit off on that. But Kevin was a guy, he came in, no one expected any greatness from him. He showed the world how great he could be. He became a tag team with El Generico, one of the greatest tag teams in Ring of Honor history. Then he turned on Generico, became one of the great heels in the history of Ring of Honor, and one of the great world champions of Ring of Honor's history. For the first year and a half or so of the Ring of Honor TV show that we have now, he was very much the focal point with himself, with Scum. I mean, the guy, he's absolutely amazing. He's a guy that just brings that brawling style, and that everything he does is so vicious looking, and that's, I honestly think he's probably, in my opinion, the best heel that Ring of Honor's ever had. Now, coming off of that, from the best heel of Ring of Honor, our number 4 guy is a guy that likes to go by the best in the world, and that's CM Punk. He's a guy that started off really early, I believe early 2003, wrestled through 2006 over in Ring of Honor, had some amazing feuds there, feuds with the likes of Steve Corino, him and Obviously, he came in wrestling Colt Cabana. They eventually became the Second City Saints. Well, sorry about that. Got to drink some Pepsi for Punk. With Ace Steel, of course. They had a legendary feud with the Briscoe brothers. 3 amazing matches with Samoa Joe. An amazing feud with Jimmy Rave. Another one amazing feud with Raven. The Joe and CM Punk matches are what brought a lot of the wrestling fans to the table. Ring of Honor had a little bit of a buzz going to there. I mean, there was a buzz in the industry about it, but when Joe and Punk had their trilogy, it became something you had to see. You had to see these 2 amazing athletes go at each other. And then when CM Punk finally wins the World Championship, holds it up, and turns on everybody and announces that he's signing with the WWE, thus giving us the Summer of Punk, signs his contract on the belt, all kinds of reprehensible stuff that he does, leaving Ring of Honor, gives us on the way out one of Ring of Honor's biggest angles and one of their best angles to date. Guy that really brought the company into national prominence and got eyes on watching it, got people looking it out on the message boards, looking for tapes to trade, DVDs to trade, before they had any kind of television show. And that's CM Punk, one of the guys that the company was built on. Another guy, our number 3 guy, the guy that the belt is built on. The Ring of Honor World Championship would not mean what it means without Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's reign is absolutely the most impressive reign in Ring of Honor's history of any champion, yet whether tag, TV, or world champion. He is the guy that took the world championship and made it a world championship. He wrestled in Japan with it, wrestled in Mexico, Germany, all over the world. And Joe was exactly what Ring of Honor needed. He's a huge guy that could fly around and wrestle with anybody. He had awesome matches with Austin Aries, CM Punk. I mean, the list goes on and on. His match with Kenta Kobashi, one of the greatest matches in the last 20 years in any wrestling organization. I mean, the guy is off the charts talented, is what Samoa Joe is, sorry. CM Punk also is off the charts talented. But Samoa Joe is a guy that, you know, a lot of people know him from his TNA run. And in the beginning of his TNA run, they booked him almost exactly like Ring of Honor did. Made him an unstoppable monster. I don't think, once they got away from that, they've really kind of hurt Samoa Joe to the general public. This is a guy, if he were to be booked properly, could absolutely be one of the main guys in professional wrestling, has proved it, made Ring of Honor's World Championship actually mean what it means today, and one of the great wrestlers that's ever been in the company. Now, speaking of great wrestlers in the company, our number 2 guy, probably the greatest wrestler in the world right now. The first man out of Ring of Honor to call himself the best in the world. The main event of his first show in Ring of Honor and his last show in Ring of Honor. And that's Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, a.k.a. Daniel Bryan. What can you say about Danielson that hasn't been said before? Absolute technical master. Another guy that really helped build the world title to a world championship. A guy that brought fans in to watch to see what he would do. I mean, the guy was absolutely amazing. Daniel Bryan was a guy you could put on the card, whether it be first match, last match, middle of the card, and the people would go home, or Bryan Danielson at this time, go home talking about what Danielson did, and that's just amazing. His match with Morishima, where he gets his eye socket destroyed and continues to wrestle with a dislocated eye socket. I mean, the guy is absolutely one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today, and probably, when it's all said and done, going to be one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of wrestling. He had awesome matches. They brought in guys like Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger, to wrestle him. Lance Storm wrestled against him. I mean, really one of the founding fathers of Ring of Honor. One of the guys, they put the company on his back and said, let's go with this guy. He's our guy going forward. Now, before we go to our number one guy, I'm going to take a sip of soda because I'm getting a little bit hoarse, and then I'm going to talk about the best of the rest. Our first guy in the best of the rest, now these are no particular order, and these are guys that just barely miss the list for whatever reason. Our first guy is Christopher Daniels, the first real heel of Ring of Honor. The first guy that did not live up to the Code of Honor and shake hands before and after each match. Really brought some heat. You would think something simple like that wouldn't, but when he's the only guy doing it, it made a lot of sense that he got the heat he got. Our second guy, I think, is the best Ring of Honor wrestler to never win the World Championship, and that's Jimmy Jacobs. A guy that did everything from being a baby face with the Berserker boots, chanting Huss, Huss, to the Ballad of Lacey, where he had the Unrequited Love, to the Age of the Fall, to Scum, his team with BJ Whitmer. I mean, everything that Jacobs did was absolutely amazing. He's a guy, I think, that should have had the World Championship probably at the Age of the Fall time. And I think he's the best wrestler that's ever been in Ring of Honor not to get to that world title status, in my opinion. Our next guy is Homicide. A guy that had won the World Championship, a very solid wrestler, brought kind of the brawling style in the Ring of Honor, gave us a little bit something different to see during our Ring of Honor viewing. If you got 10 technical matches on the card, you get burnt out. You throw a guy like Homicide in the middle against a guy like Colt Cabana, a guy like Steve Corino, Trent Acid, and you give other fans a little bit something different than they're not used to seeing at Ring of Honor. Another guy that's in our best of the rest, Eddie Edwards. The other half of the American Wolves. Personally, I actually like Eddie better than Davey. Davey's a little bit more, how shall I say, not more accomplished, but more expected of Davey, I guess you would say. He's more counted on to be a main eventer type guy. Not that Eddie isn't. Eddie Edwards is very much a main event style wrestler. Just Davey's a little bit higher on the pecking chain, in the pecking order, food chain, that's what I meant to say. But basically, that's the best of the rest. Now, as we say on all of our videos, all of our top 10s, feel free to give us any feedback you want. If you think we put somebody up too high, somebody down too low, left someone off the list altogether that you think should be on there, let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down in our comments. And now we're going to get into the number one wrestler in Ring of Honor. And I cheated on this one because we're making it a tag team. Jay and Mark, the Briscoe brothers. You had to expect them coming somewhere. 8-time tag team champions, 1 world title ring with Jay Briscoe. The team that's been there since the beginning of the company, seen everybody come and go, seen your Samoa Joes, your CM Punks, has wrestled everybody in the world, main evented as a tag team. Absolutely the epitome of Ring of Honor is the Briscoe brothers. Guys that can flat out wrestle, guys that can flat out brawl, guys that if you need them to go an hour match, they will. Guys that if you need them to give you a 5-minute brawl, they'll do that too. I mean, just 2 hard-hitting, ass-kicking wrestlers from Sandy Fort, Delaware. They came in first. They were on the first show, and they've been there ever since. Except a couple little injury timeouts. 8-time tag team champions. The foundation with guys like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Roderick Strong, guys that the company's been built on. The one constant's always been the Briscoe brothers, the best tag team in the world for a very long time, and the best that Ring of Honor's given us. But basically, that's what I have to say about this top 10. This has been the top 10 in Ring of Honor history, and my name is George Coles.